As you know, stories are a really awesome and cool way of not only educating people, but also a great way of you being able to build your brand, to be able to build rapport with people and share your experience without saying really stiffly, this is my experience and this is what I do and this is how I do it. So what I wanted to share with you today are the 3 essential stories that your people need to hear you tell. My name is Nicola. Let's find out what they are. Humans are a funny breed, aren't we? Hashtag humans and our coolness. We all want to be different, yet we want to fit in. We want to be seen as being able to stand out, but we don't want to be criticized or condemned or anything like that. Now, one of the best ways that you can command authority, that you can build your brand, is by sharing your experiences. Now, there are really, I believe, 3 main stories that your people need to hear from you in order for you to be able to create rapport easily, for them to be able to think, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, sit there and think, you know what? This person really knows their stuff. I really want to listen to the way that this person speaks. I would really love to hire them as a keynote speaker. I would love to go to a workshop with them. I would love to buy from them and learn from them. All right? That's really ultimately what we want. Yeah, we want to be able to get into a room, virtual or otherwise, and help the people that we are here to help. So what are the stories that we need to share? Number 1, first and foremost, I believe it's really super important for people to know why the heck you are doing what you're doing. What was that turning point? Was there a turning point for you, or did you kind of accidentally find yourself with this business or doing this thing or in this role? What was the journey that got you to here? For example, I was working for Westpac and I worked for them for 12 years and I loved my job, but I was wanting to do more in terms of marketing, how to buy from me, essentially. So I was doing all the home loans for different people in our country town. And you know what country towns are like, right? There's a bank, and then there's another bank next to the bank, and there's another bank next to that bank, and then there's another bank, and then you go around the corner, and then there's another bank, and then there's also local mortgage brokers, and competition is fierce in local areas when it comes to lending and banking in general, actually. So I was putting on seminars and I was doing trying to put on local kind of networking stuff. I'd get guest speakers in. I was really wanting to do things differently to the way that everybody else in town was doing. But my manager had a different thought track, right? When I wanted to do things, he's like, no, we don't have it in the budget, or no, we can't do that, or you know what, no, legal's knocked that on their head. If I wanted to do some local area marketing and use some different kinds of, just different posters and stuff like that, rather than having to go through the rigmarole of having everything approved. So I was getting really frustrated. I was trying to be entrepreneurial within the bank, and you know how that goes, unless you're employed in a really top, in a high level role. So for me, I was getting really frustrated, and I'd been growing another business on the side that was all about, I was importing jewelry from overseas, hence importing. I was importing jewelry, I was selling it at local markets. I was also wholesaling it around the country and helping other people set up their stalls that they would have at market. So I was kind of doing that for a few years and doing that on the side, and I decided that after hearing a friend of mine who'd studied to be a life coach and a style and branding coach, I was like, I can do that. That sounds really fun. That sounds really, really cool. I want to do that. And so I studied to learn how to do that, and then I resigned from my job in February 2011, and I've been doing this full time since then. So there's been so many different things along the way. I mean, the decision for me to leave the bank came because I'd asked for a career break, and I haven't been told the answer for about a month. And finally, my manager, one day, I'd been on the way to work and I'm sitting in the car, I dropped my kids off at school and I'm driving along this street and I was so frustrated because I was trying to build this on the side and trying to do this, and I still had the jewelry business and managing 3 kids and my husband who was absent for like half of a year. And I was just like, universe, like, give me a sign, give me a fucking sign. This needs to change. You know, I've had enough. Just give me a sign. Pulled into work, walked into work, had a client. That client walked out. My manager knocked on the door and he said, Nicola, can I have a word? And I'm like, yeah, of course. He sits down and he says, look, your career break has been declined. Thank you for applying for it. If it was in my hands, I would have said yes, but it's out of my control. So, you know, it's been declined. I'm really sorry. He's like, okay, cool. Thanks. You know, 12 years of service. I was asking for a 6-month break and, you know, that was fine. So he walked out of my office and I typed up my letter of resignation and I handed it in the next day. So that was a really big catalyst for me. It was just asking for that sign and then it came. And I was like, all right, well, Nicola, it's kind of now or never. But one of the big reasons that I do what I do is because I want to create freedom. I want to be able to provide an example for my children that they don't have to follow the 9 dots, that they can be, do, have anything that they want, that they set their mind to, that they decide to commit to, that they persistently keep going, right? Like that's really one of the big key things that I want to show and teach them. So that's a big reason why I do what I do. It might not be as intricate as that for you. It may not be as, you know, maybe you don't have those kinds of points, but why are you doing what you're doing? That's the first story that you want to tell. The second one is, you know, what are the pitfalls and the negative things that have happened since you've been doing what you're doing and how did you overcome those? You know, one thing that you might think is just kind of like normal and whatever and you don't really kind of think about it is life-changing for someone else or inspiring for someone else. The third thing that you want to share is how can other people apply what it is that you've done around how you've overcome those challenges or how you've ended up doing what you're doing. How can other people apply those similar strategies into their life so that they can have success or achieve results with what you do? Doesn't matter whether you're a lawyer, a personal trainer, a chiropractor, a mentor, a coach, whatever, it doesn't matter. How can people use that to better their own lives? Because really that's what you're here for. You're here to help people do that. So they're the 3 main things, the 3 main stories that people need to hear you tell. The thing that you want to make sure of though, the only caveat to all of this is that you've got to tell the moral of the story. All right, so you've got to share what's the meaning. Why are you telling this story? Why is it relevant? Because otherwise they might be sitting there going like, okay, well, that was really cool. But if there's no moral to the story or if you're not telling them what they need to do next with a call to action or, you know, this is where you need to go, this is what you need to do, the moral of the story is, you know, just get yourself out there. Make this happen. Be you. Don't live a life of fear. Don't live a life where you're second guessing and wondering if you should have left or didn't leave or whatever. You know, throw yourself off the edge and everything will be okay. It may not pan out quite the way that we expect, but we always end up in the place that we're supposed to end up, right? It's just the way that it goes. So they're the 3 main stories. Remember to tell the moral of the story and the call to action. Now, if you've got any questions about how to apply this into your business and into your marketing, let me know. If you want to talk about how you can become a client of mine, then you'll see that big banner below with how to organize a time to make that happen. My name is Nicola. I hope you have an absolute rocking day or night or wherever you are in the world. Go smash this out. Go get your stories ready. I can't wait to hear how you go with it. All right? I'll see you in the next video.